Okay, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something I think a lot of people are talking about, this new partnership between DoorDash and Klarna.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty interesting. And you've given us a really diverse set of sources here to look at this from different angles.
Yeah, I pulled some stuff from DoorDash's own newsroom so we could hear it straight from the horse's mouth. But then also, what are people actually saying, out there in the wild?
Absolutely.
So we got some Reddit threads from, the news subreddit, Unusual Whales Economics, Wall Street Bets.
Oh, wow. So we get the memes and the serious economic takes.
Exactly. And then to kind of round things out, we've got a news report from News Nation, which just kind of lays out the facts.
Straightforward.
And then an analysis from Investopedia, which is trying to look at kind of the bigger picture.
Yeah, what does it all mean?
So our mission today is to really synthesize all of this and kind of go beyond just the headlines and try to understand, what this collaboration could mean, like how it might actually change how we shop, how we think about money. Maybe even hint at some broader shifts happening in the economy as a whole.
Totally, yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. DoorDash, they put out this announcement on March 20th, 2025. What is at the core of this deal?
Well, basically, Klarna is going to be integrated into DoorDash.
Okay.
That's the nuts and bolts of it. You'll start to see Klarna as a payment option when you check out on DoorDash, and that's going to be rolling out over the next few months.
And this isn't just for ordering like a pizza, right?
No, this is for everything that DoorDash is getting into now.
Right, because they want to be the everything app.
They want to be the everything app, exactly.
So we're talking groceries, retail purchases, even when you sign up for your Dash Pass.
Yeah, the annual plan.
Okay, so it's like the whole gamut.
The whole shebang.
Of DoorDash services.
Exactly. And this is interesting because, as DoorDash is moving beyond just restaurant delivery and into all these new categories,
right,
it makes sense that they would want to offer more flexible payment options, to appeal to a wider range of customers.
So let's get down to brass tacks. Like I'm on the DoorDash app, I'm doing my weekly grocery shop. How is Klarna actually going to work at checkout? What am I going to see?
So when you get to that payment screen, Klarna is going to be there as one of the options, and they're offering a few different ways to pay. The first one is pretty straightforward, pay in full.
Okay.
Just like you normally would, you pay for the whole thing right then and there.
Okay, so that's business as usual.
Business as usual. But then you've got the options that Klarna is really known for, which is pay in 4. So this splits your purchase into 4 equal installments, and they're interest-free.
Okay, that sounds pretty appealing on the surface, right?
It does. It does. It's a way to kind of spread out the cost of something over time without having to pay extra.
Right, so if I'm buying, a week's worth of groceries or I'm getting a new gadget or something, that could be kind of helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the third option is pay later.
Okay.
And this is all about timing. So it lets you defer the payment to a date that works for you. So, maybe you place the order a couple days before payday, but you're a little tight on cash right now.
Right.
You can just push the payment back a week or two until you get paid.
So it's all about aligning your expenses with your income.
Exactly.
Now, we also have these statements from DoorDash and Klarna about why they're doing this.
Yeah.
So Anand Subbarayan, he's the head of money products at DoorDash. What did he have to say?
He's really emphasizing DoorDash's expansion into all these new markets. It's not just about food anymore.
Right, beauty electronics.
Groceries, gifts.
Everything.
Yeah, and his point is, as they grow their offerings, these flexible payment options become essential to meet the needs of their customers.
So it's like meeting the customer where they are.
Exactly.
So it's about removing friction, making it as easy as possible for people to buy stuff through DoorDash.
Exactly.
And Klarna, their chief commercial officer, David Sykes, he also chimed in. What was his perspective?
Yeah, so he sees this partnership as a big step for Klarna as they move into these everyday spending categories. Things that people are buying all the time, groceries, takeout, retail essentials.
All right.
And he says they're making convenience more accessible to millions of Americans by offering these smarter, more flexible payment solutions.
Both companies are painting this as a win for consumers.
Right. More choice, more flexibility, more convenience.
But you go to these Reddit threads, and the conversation takes a pretty sharp turn.
Yeah, the tone is definitely different.
Yeah, there's a lot of dark humor and some very serious concern.
Yeah, we saw jokes about, ending up in debtor's prison because you couldn't pay for your burrito.
Collateralized burrito obligations, I think was the term.
Exactly. That one really stuck with me.
But beyond the jokes, there's some real anxiety about the economic implications, right?
Oh, absolutely. Many users are worried about what this means for society as a whole if we start normalizing this kind of financing, for everyday purchases.
Like, is this going to lead us down a dangerous path?
Some people are even drawing parallels to the subprime mortgage crisis.
Wow.
Questioning whether it's really wise to be taking out loans for things like a single meal.
So it's like, are we encouraging people to get into debt for things that they should be able to just pay for up front?
That's the concern.
Right. And I think that term collateralized burrito obligations, even though it's a joke, it really captures that fear.
It does.
Like, are we making it too easy to rack up debt for things that we don't really need?
Right. And the worry is that this could encourage more impulsive spending. People might buy things they wouldn't normally buy if they had to pay for it all at once.
And some people are saying this is no different than using a credit card. But it does feel different, doesn't it?
It does. It feels more direct somehow.
Yeah, like it's easier to just click that button and say, I'll pay for it later.
Yeah, and maybe it's psychologically easier to justify smaller purchases.
Right, like it's only $7 or whatever.
Exactly.
But then the question becomes, how does Klarna actually make money from this?
Right, because they're offering these interest-free options, so where's the profit coming from?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the Reddit users dug into this, and it seems like there are two main ways that Klarna makes money.
Okay.
First, they charge the merchants, so in this case DoorDash, a processing fee for each transaction.
Okay, so they're getting a cut of every purchase.
Exactly. And then second, they make money through late fees. So if you miss a payment, you get hit with a fee.
And someone on Reddit actually mentioned how much that fee is.
Yeah, they said it's a flat $7 fee.
And the thing is, Klarna lets you have multiple loans at the same time.
Right.
So if you're using it for multiple DoorDash orders and you miss payments on all of them,
those fees can add up really quickly.
So even though there's no interest, you could still end up paying a lot more than you originally planned.
Exactly.
So while the pay in 4 option sounds appealing, there's definitely a catch.
There's always a catch.
And it seems like Klarna's move into these smaller, more frequent purchases is a big part of their growth strategy.
Especially as they're considering an IPO.
Right. So partnering with DoorDash gives them access to a huge volume of transactions.
Millions of users, potentially.
So on the one hand, we have DoorDash and Klarna saying this is all about convenience and flexibility.
Right.
But then we have this whole community of people online who are expressing some serious concerns about potential debt traps.
Yeah, and the normalization of financing everyday expenses.
So how do we reconcile these very different perspectives?
Well, I think what's interesting here is that different groups are framing the same financial tool in completely different ways.
Right.
For DoorDash and Klarna, this is just a natural evolution of payment methods.
Like credit cards to any.
Exactly. It's a way to boost sales and encourage more spending.
But for a lot of people, this feels like a slippery slope towards a culture of debt.
Right, and that image of collateralized burrito obligations really speaks to that fear.
Yeah, it's a joke, but it's also kind of terrifying.
It is, because it suggests that we're becoming so accustomed to debt that we're willing to finance even the smallest things.
And there's a real worry that this could lead to people overspending and not having a clear understanding of their financial situation.
Absolutely. And the comparison to the subprime mortgage crisis, even though it's on a much smaller scale, it comes from that same concern about easy access to credit,
Right.
regardless of the size of the loan.
It's like we're prioritizing convenience over financial responsibility.
Yeah, and one Reddit user pointed out that the people who are most likely to use these buy now, pay later options are the ones who might already be struggling financially.
Right. Either they don't qualify for traditional credit or they've already maxed out their credit cards.
So it's like this could actually make things worse for the people who are most vulnerable.
Right. And even if the installments are interest-free, those late fees can really add up.
Especially if you're using Klarna for multiple purchases.
So it seems like the bottom line here is that while buy now, pay later can be convenient, it's really important to understand the terms and conditions.
Yeah, read the fine print.
And be aware of the potential downsides.
Don't just click that button without thinking about it.
And if we step back and look at the bigger picture, this trend of easy credit for everyday purchases does raise questions about the overall health of the economy.
Yeah, are we creating a bubble?
Is this sustainable in the long run?
Big questions.
Big questions. Well, this has been a really thought-provoking deep dive into what seemed like a simple partnership.
Yeah, it's turned out to be much more complex than we initially thought.
So to sum it all up, we have this new collaboration between DoorDash and Klarna.
Bringing buy now, pay later to a whole new range of products and services.
And while the companies are touting the convenience factor,
there's a lot of debate and concern about the potential downsides.
Some people see this as the future of payments.
Others see it as a recipe for disaster.
And that phrase, collateralized burrito obligations, really encapsulates that tension.
It does.
So as you're thinking about all of this, consider how these buy now, pay later options might influence your own spending habits.
Yeah, and what are the long-term implications for the economy as a whole?
Does this partnership really make things more convenient without creating new risks?
Lots to think about.
Definitely gives you food for thought.
And maybe makes you think twice about financing that next late-night snack.
Thanks for exploring this with me until our next deep dive.